Today, NOAA released a report finding that U.S. coastlines will experience a profound sea level rise by 2050. Scientists now predict that sea levels surrounding the U.S. will rise an additional 10 to 12 inches by 2050. That's a century's worth of sea level rise in less than 30 years.
Rising sea levels, a threat to all life on Earth, part 1 of 2. Continue watching to find out more.
Welcome to part 1 of our 2-part series, Rising Sea Levels, a Threat to All Life on Earth. Since record-keeping began in the 1800s, the Earth's average global sea level has consistently risen. Between the 1900s and the 2000s, the sea rose very slowly, an average of only 1.4 millimeters per year. However, between 2006 and 2015, the rate began accelerating and now sea levels are rising more than twice as fast as before. Let's first look at what's causing this rise. As global temperatures increase, the ocean absorbs up to 90% of the excess heat. As a result, the ocean's waters are becoming warmer, causing the sea level to rise in two ways. First, as the water warms, it increases in volume in a process called thermal expansion. Second, rising temperatures accelerate the melting of global glaciers and ice sheets, adding more water to the ocean and causing sea level rise. According to the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration or NOAA, up until around the year 2000, the rate of thermal expansion and melting ice caused the sea levels to rise about equally. However, the amount of water released from melting glaciers has quadrupled over the past 2 decades, and now melting ice causes most of the sea level to rise. Since 1993, the average global sea level has risen by 91.3 millimeters or 3.6 inches. And in 2020, sea levels reached a new record high. In its 2022 technical report, the NOAA stated that the situation will grow increasingly more devastating and that the ocean could rise by as much as 30 centimeters or 1 foot within the next 30 years. This NOAA report raised alarm bells all around the globe.
Now to some dire environmental news. Today, NOAA released a report finding that U.S. coastlines will experience a profound sea level rise by 2050. Scientists now predict that sea levels surrounding the U.S. will rise an additional 10 to 12 inches by 2050. That's a century's worth of sea level rise in less than 30 years, according to NOAA.
Millions of Americans live on a coast, but a new report says sea levels could rise as much as a foot within 30 years. That means coastal cities could flood even on sunny days.
Hundreds of miles of British coastline could soon be underwater, submerged by rising sea levels over the next 30 years.
Rising sea levels are a threat to all life on Earth. A significant portion of the world's population lives in coastal areas. According to the United Nations Atlas of the Oceans, 8 of the world's 10 largest cities are located on or near the coast. As the NOAA predicts, a sea level rise of 30 centimeters would be disastrous in these densely populated areas.
Rising sea levels will intensify storm surges, high tides, coastal erosion, and wetland loss. The report reads, quote, by 2050, moderate flooding, which is typically disruptive and damaging by today's weather, sea level, and infrastructure standards, is expected to occur more than 10 times as often as it does today.
Rising sea levels threaten many essential coastal infrastructures, including roads, bridges, subways, oil storage facilities, and power plants. Higher seas could also cause sewer systems to back up, spewing road sewage onto city streets. International ports could be damaged or destroyed, affecting the world's trade and economy. In addition, higher water levels mean that storm surges, such as those caused by Hurricanes Katrina and Michael in the US, push inland much further than previously, causing much more significant damage. Rising sea levels also affect coastal ecosystems, destroying or altering the habitats of both fish and wildlife. As the ocean rises, the salt water pushes further inland, contaminating freshwater sources and destroying natural ecosystems such as freshwater wetlands. In short, rising sea levels threaten our very existence on Earth. Welcome back to our program, Rising Sea Levels, a threat to all life on Earth. As global temperatures continue to rise, Earth's mountain glaciers are melting at an ever-increasing rate and sometimes even suddenly collapse. For example, during the summer of 2022, Europe suffered a devastating heat wave, setting all-time temperature records in many countries. In July 2022, a massive section of a glacier on the Marmolada, the highest peak in the Dolomites in the eastern Italian Alps, suddenly collapsed, killing 11 people.
It isn't immediately clear what caused the section of the glacier to collapse, but many have pointed to the effects of global warming. Temperatures reached a record 10 degrees Celsius at the mountain summit that day, and it's widely known that the climate of the Alps is changing rapidly. Temperatures there have risen by around 2 degrees Celsius over the past 120 years, almost twice as much as the global average. Now that's driving the retreat of the glaciers there. They're estimated to have lost half their ice volume since 1850.
It's not only mountain glaciers that are rapidly melting, warming ocean waters and higher global temperatures are also affecting glaciers in the North and South Polar regions. Let's look first at what's happening in the Arctic. In a study published in June 2022 in the journal Scientific Reports, the researchers reveal that parts of the Arctic are warming 5 to 7 times faster than the rest of the world. They discovered that in the Arctic area north of Norway and Russia, temperatures have risen by up to 2.7 degrees Celsius per decade, making it the fastest warming region on Earth. The study also found a strong relationship between the amount of sea ice in the Arctic and rising temperatures. White ice reflects sunlight back into space. However, as the ice melts, it becomes dark blue water which absorbs the sun's heat. Thus, rising temperatures and melting ice create a dangerous feedback loop and are the primary reason temperatures in the Arctic are rising much faster than the global average. These higher temperatures are causing northern ice to melt at a faster rate. For example, the amount of ice lost from Greenland ice sheet between 2012 and 2016 was 7 times higher than it had been between 1992 and 2001. Let's now look at what's happening at the South Pole. Antarctica is a massive continent buried under a layer of ice as deep as 3,000 meters or 10,000 feet. Scientists estimate that Antarctica's ice holds enough water to raise the sea level by almost 60 meters. One of the most significant concerns is whether Antarctica's ice sheets and glaciers will melt gradually or whether they will reach a tipping point and collapse. For this reason, scientists are growing deeply concerned about the future of the Thwaites Glacier. About the same size as the state of Florida in the US, Thwaites is the most expansive glacier on Earth, and its ice is approximately 1,200 meters deep. Thwaites has been referred to as the Doomsday Glacier because if it drops into the oceans and melts, the consequences for our planet will be catastrophic. Until now, an ice shelf floating in the ocean in front of Thwaites has been holding back the immense glacier, the way a cork in the bottle holds back the liquid inside. However, this ice shelf is being affected by the planet's ever-increasing temperatures, and massive fractures can already be seen on its surface. In addition, the ice shelf is melting from below, causing it to lose its grip on the submerged mountain beneath it. Researchers warned that the entire system, the ice sheet and Thwaites Glacier could suddenly shatter into pieces like a broken windshield and disappear into the ocean. Scientists predict this could happen within the next 3 to 5 years. Dr. David Holland, a professor of atmospheric and ocean sciences at New York University and the director of the Center for Sea Level Change at New York University, Abu Dhabi, explains the impact this event would have.
So if that ice shelf were to break up and Thwaites were to move into the ocean, what kind of impacts are we talking about?
It would be absolutely massive. We would see a dramatic rise of several feet of sea level, and it could be Thwaites itself, perhaps 2 to 3 feet. But Thwaites is holding back its neighbors, and they too could fall apart, raising sea level by an additional maybe 6 feet. So altogether, something of scale 10 feet. And if you try to wrap your head around that, we're talking around the entire Earth, the entire ocean. That's a massive amount of water. It's a rewriting of the global coastline in that sense.
Many thanks to all the scientists who help us understand the dire consequences of rising sea levels. We pray that this danger soon subside as we quickly shift to the peaceful vegan lifestyle.
All information concerning the scientific evidence of climate change and its solution is in Supreme Master Ching Hai's book, From Crisis to Peace, free to download at crisistopeace.org.